Round one of Major League Rugby comes to a close right here in Austin, Texas, as the Arrows and the Gilgronis hunt for a win. For more on how these sides will look tonight, in particular the home side, we welcome the third member of our team, Jessamine McIntyre.
Time World Cup winning skills coach with the All Blacks and now new Austin Director of Rugby, Mick Byrne. Mick, just tell me what kind of culture you're bringing to a team that's looking for redemption after a winless season last year.
That's a great question. I think the first part is to find out exactly where we're at, and the boys have got a great passion for the game, and we're working really, really hard on ensuring that every guy can get better. I think that's the culture we want to do. We're bringing a culture of every day you work to get better, and the boys have bought into that. And I think that's what that's where our starting point is, really, to ensure that everybody's on the same page and we get really what we stand for. We get that going from day one.
Thank you so much and good luck today.
All right, thank you.
All right.
Thank you, Jessamine. And Pete, Mick Byrne, for those unaware, quite a large name in world rugby.
Oh, absolutely. In fact, I first met Mick in 2007 when he came over. He was with the All Blacks, but came over to work with the US Eagles. Came over, great skills coach, famous AFL football player in Australia. And he's going to bring a lot of systems and processes that are going to help Austin grow throughout the season, Dan. I think this is going to be the starting point. I talked to him before the start of the game, and he just said, he talked to the boys, and what he said was, it doesn't matter what happens at the end of today's game. They're going to have learned something, and it will prepare them to continue to grow through the rest of the season.
There we see Andrew Suniula, former player, now on the coaching staff with Mick Byrne. And then we look at Toronto. We talk about stability, consistency. Chris Silverthorne, he returns in the head position, along with, like you mentioned, Pete, a large number of their players coming back as well.
Well, I think Toronto's success, if we remember last year, they struggled at the start, which was actually a surprise. The Toronto team has been built on top of the Ontario Blues, which was the regional all-star team in Canada. And so they came in last year with a lot of systems and processes. But I think this year they've had a full preseason, something that they didn't have last year, and they have definitely positioned themselves as the place that a Canadian rugby player goes if they want to play professional rugby. They have, I think, 28 out of their 35 players are Canadian internationals. It's really, I think Toronto's going to end up being almost the Canadian national team playing in Major League Rugby.
And think about the success commercially they've had as well. Just signed Lululemon, one of the biggest clothing brands that we know in the US, Canadian company, but the first ever professional sports team to be branded with Lululemon. That's a huge achievement for Bill Webb and the ownership group up there in Toronto.
Well, Toronto is an amazing hotbed of rugby. I know that from my time in coaching in the age grades within the US, they have hundreds of varsity high school teams all in Ontario. And so that means there's a lot of leaders of business that are rugby fans, and they want to support the Toronto Arrows. I think the Toronto Arrows, talking to some of the administrators and staff before the game, they see this as a real legacy project. They see this as building something that can really leave a legacy for Canadian rugby, and I think that there are business leaders that want to support that.
And on the flip side, Jessamine, Austin looking to do the same thing, follow that blueprint that Toronto has done so successfully.
They certainly have, and the one thing they're definitely going to do is put last season behind them. Obviously, looking at the guys right now, there's a lot of smiles. Everybody's relaxed in the reserves. And then on the field, their guys are just taking warm-ups. They know that we're, just about to get to game time here, but just not too much panic, and everything is a brand new slate here, the new attitude that they're bringing in. And I think we're going to see that on the field as well.
Yeah, I agree with you there, Jessamine. Definitely, it is a new attitude, new era here in Austin. Will we see the era start with a win tonight, though, Pete?
Well, from all the Major League Rugby games that we've had this weekend, what we've seen is dominance in the scrum has been critical to their team's success. And that's really where the challenge is going to be for Austin, because they're coming up against an Arrows pack that has been together and has played together. And I think it's going to be a real challenge for them to be able to live in the scrum. But if they can live in the scrum, Dan, then I think they can be successful.
Yeah, we'll take a look here at one of the new elements to the Gilgronis. We are in the beautiful Circuit of Americas, known for its racing. It'll host the Rolling Stones this May. 90,000 Rolling Stones fans will pack the Circuit of Americas tonight. Though it is rugby that takes centre stage, the Austin Gilgronis and Toronto Arrows. Just sit back and enjoy this show. See a little Austin Gilgronis laser show. Well, the pomp and circumstance is here in Austin, Pete.
It certainly is. I mean, the new ownership has come in and they've created a huge buzz and a huge level of excitement. It's going to take a little while to see that on the field and in the stands, Dan, but the future of this team certainly looks bright.
Here we go, our starting lineups tonight from Austin, Texas. Firstly, the home side, the Gilgronis.
Well, I think the big name is Zinzan Ilan Pudik, who is starting at fly half the first time. He's one of the only players that has been with Austin for all 3 years, but fly half is a big question mark for them in this game.
Moving on to Toronto now, Pete. The travelling side, how do they look?
Well, I think they look really strong. Look for Mike Shepard, who was one of their leaders last year in the pack. And it is De La Vega, the Argentinian flanker, that is going to provide some boost off the flank.
Two very strong squads for tonight's game. Referee will be Lex Weiner as we get things underway. And we welcome viewers on Fox Sports joining the game here just underway. It's the Gilgronis in the burnt orange, synonymous with Texas. The Arrows in the blue. It'll be the Gilgronis with first use of this ball. They'll need a big start here, Pete, a positive start. For Austin.
Well, you know, the game of rugby, even though it's a dynamic game, Dan, is really also a game of territory. And you can see the deep kickoff by Toronto put pressure on Austin. Austin cleared, but it's a great attacking line out near the Austin, near the Austin 22.
That'll be something to watch. Dylan Young, he'll wear the 10 jersey that was owned by Sam Malcolm last year. Malcolm back at fullback. Real nod from the coaching staff to Young, Dylan Young. Let's get our first look at Andy Quattrin, one of the stars at the World Cup for Canada. Great steal there for Austin early on. There's the hustle that you want, and that's new player Richie Asiata. He's almost up to the trial, and what a start this would be for the Arrows. First points as they are knocking on the door. They go again, inches from the line there. Again, they're over. Referee Lex Weiner, he's happy with it. There's the opening try. It's the Toronto Arrows. It only took 1 minute and 20 seconds. And Toronto, well, they have come to play tonight, Pete.
Well, I mean, it was all about the pressure of that initial kickoff. It was a great kickoff by Toronto that pinned Austin inside their own half, and from the line out. And, you know, we talked about how important set pieces are in the game of rugby. That's the line out and the scrum. And it was actually from the line out that Austin stole the ball, but then was picked up. And now when you're near the line, it's about being slow and methodical. And you can see the referee, Weiner, right there, be able to call that try. I mean, a good start there by Toronto and not what Austin wanted.
Malcolm, one of the leading point scorers from 2019, will have his first conversion of 2020 here. Just to the left of the uprights, 5 points to 0. The Arrows in the lead here. Precision kick from Malcolm. Flags go up, 7 points to 0. What a start for Toronto.
Toronto try by number 8, Manuel.
There you see the try scorer, Manuel Diana. One of these import players for the Arrows. They're very selective on the players they've brought in from outside of Canada too, Pete.
They are, and you can see here, it's all about the body height. They get low, so when Austin defenders come in to make the hit, they can't stop them, but a great start by Toronto.
Paddock deep on the restart, looking to copy the Arrows there, goes down to the skipper, Dan Moore. Inside his 22, Shepard, one of the stars of 2019. Comes down, Mackenzie looks to clear, got the boot, will stay in field. Now the Gilgronis with a chance to attack inside the half of the Arrows. Alba, 29 from Chile, pleading for a penalty. His pleas are answered. Just outside the 40, Pete. Decision time here for the Gilgronis.
Well, I think they're going to make the choice early on. You want to play that territory, and it looks like they're going to put it to touch. Remember, they stole their first line out, so I think they're going to be feeling pretty confident, but they don't actually make touch.
No, it's quickly played by Moore. Back, little handling error there against the Arrows. Young thought he was away. Here's scrum here for Austin. First look at the set piece. Pete, you mentioned in the pregame how important the scrum has been this weekend. Our first look at it here.
Yeah, it is, but you know, it all comes from the opportunity. You can see there the referee, you've lost your feet, so you can see him, the referee pointing down. Rugby, they say, is a game that's played on their feet. So if you want to come in and contest the ball after a tackle, you have to stay on your feet. But you're right down about the scrum. This is going to tell us a lot about the narrative of the game. And if Austin's able to hold on and be able to win this ball, I think it'll set them up well with a great attacking platform.
The Arrows, though, off the back. Sonny Tonga offloads, finds one of these new young stars, Akina. Referee had to let this one play back on. Sonny Tonga, big number 8 now. Rialba, midfield here for the Gilgronis. Options both sides. They go to the right. Low chopping tackle there on Shea, brings him down midfield. Now Whanawuia comes White, picks up White. Big Lerone White, he takes it 10 out from the line. Tonga. Held up in the tackle. He'll find his way to ground though as they recycle here the Gilgronis. Back to the right, quick hands from Zwart. Now Peralba again, midfield. Yavasa. Continue to this right side. Paddock. Can you get the ball away? Great offload there. Usually playing at fullback. Preferred position is fullback for Paddock, but puts his hand up to lead the team at 10 tonight. Isaiah Waite, Kurt Morak, the Tongan international, to join the side at some stage this season. Shea off the back, 5 from the line here. They'd love to hit back the Gilgronis now, just a metre short of the line, keeping it very, very tight, playing to their strengths here, the Gilgronis. As they're up against the upright, the Arrows scrambling, they'll take the penalty.
Well, what a great phase of attack for Austin. They're going to be really happy. They went through phase after phase, they were able to hold on to the ball, and they slowly wore down Toronto. But I thought the Toronto defense, Dan, was also really good. They didn't give them any holes. Everything was a half break. Austin were able to get forward, but they were never able to break over the line, and now it's a really interesting decision. You can see they're right there. Body height not quite as good as we saw on the Austin try, and that's why they weren't quite able to get over, but the referee had already called it for the penalty. And now they choose a scrum. This is a real interesting, because they were under pressure in that last scrum. They certainly won it, and I think that this is going to be a very, very gutsy call.
Well, when you look at the pack weights, Pete, definitely advantage going the way of Austin. 2,010 pounds up front for them against 1,944 pounds for the Arrows. But as you know, 11-time national champion winning coach, technique will beat size every day. Yeah,
you know, for me, the weight isn't as important. What you really want to see is the body shape of the props. Those are the people right at the front. This is a great one-on-one battle, and you can see it's about getting their feet in the ground, making sure they don't move their feet, and then making sure they get a really strong and powerful athletic position. There, right down the scrum, and there's that big push again from the Arrows. Austin do extremely well to get that ball out quickly. They'll maintain possession under immense pressure, though. Akina. Here's the story of the combine they hosted down here. 38-inch vertical jump. Incredible stuff. Incredible athlete by the way of Hawaii. Played some football up in Oregon. And you can just see the athleticism. He was finally able to get a break. Real interesting penalty again against Toronto. And the referee just warned them, Dan. So in rugby, if you see consistent infringement, which means if you can see a team giving away a penalty over and over again, what happens is the referee warns them and says, next time someone does that, it's going to be a yellow card. That puts them 10 minutes in the sin bin. So not only do Austin go away with a chance to kick and get 3 points from the penalty, but they also put the team under, Toronto, under pressure because they'll know the next penalty will be a problem.
Torrealba, the Chilean number 9, looking to score the first ever points for an Austin Gilgronis player. No mistakes from the number 9. 3 on the board, 7 points to 3. 8.5 minutes gone here at Bolt Stadium. We are in Austin, Texas. After that start, though, good response from the home side, Pete.
And we're seeing that the kickoff is so important. We've had 2 deep kickoffs, and both kicking teams were able to get the ball in the opposition attacking half, and that gave them a chance to apply pressure and walk away with points. So again, this kickoff's going to be really important. It'll be interesting to see what Austin do when they receive the kick.
Just make a quick correction. Not Dylan Young at 10. It's actually Tyler Adams at 10 for the Toronto Arrows. It's up on the team sheet there. So apologies to Tyler Adams for that one as Torrealba with the box kick goes high. He'll find the line safely there, just short of his own 40 meters. A line out for the Arrows here in a good attacking position.
It is, and that's what I'm not sure about that approach. You receive the ball inside your 22, you give a box kick, you gain 10 meters, but I'm not sure that you gain too much, and you give Toronto another attacking line out. Interestingly, Toronto have gone short in their line out. Normally you have all 8 forwards, but they're dropping it, and I think that's because last time Austin were able to get their hand on the ball. Shorter line outs are more difficult to defend.
Over the back again. Really similar to how it started the game, but now towed through. Good pick up there. Tongave comes through with the tackle as they bring the Arrows down on the 22.
Great opportunity, really switch the field there. Great pressure against, that's 2 lineouts by Toronto, and neither of them have been clean.
Now look to work this ball outside of their own half here. Rumble locked up, and they have lost that one. He has Akina now with the ball. Referee though, blows his whistle.
So the referee there is saying that the tackler didn't roll away. So when a tackle happens, the tackler has to get out of the way. They can't interfere, and the referee said you just didn't do that fast enough. Really, really disappointing. You don't want to give away a penalty right there when you had them pinned back. It gives an opportunity for Toronto not just to clear their lines, but they'll get the ball from the line out. And they're right back where they started. Of course, they have to win the line out this time. So you can see as the tackle happens, you can see Austin players lying down. They're not getting out of the way fast enough. I think the referee saw that first time, and then this one is the one that he really saw, weren't able to get out of the way. So even as you're making the tackle down, you've got to know you've got to get out of the way.
Fullback there, Sam Malcolm, New Zealand born, but one of the favourites, the Toronto faithful. We welcome our fans up in Canada tuning in on TSN. Turn back inside now, here go the Arrows. Yana, the try scorer, stabilises centre field here, 10 out from the line. They have the advantage as well. McKenzie, short side, quick hands. Nice little bounce, Lesage. Brought down as well. Good scrambling defense there from Austin as Toronto back towards the middle of the field now. McKenzie looking to play quickly. Has options both ways. McKenzie picks up more off the wing. Danger man there, Dan, more off that little hip ball. Gilgronis though. Right place, right time to shut that down. Now Asiata. Cannonball, just charging through the defense there. Left again. They have options both ways here. Will come down to the decision of McKenzie. Goes to Malcolm short, little grubber through. Hand deflects it. And will come back, no advantage for the penalty. Good scrambling defense from Austin though, Pete, but Toronto definitely looking dangerous down in the red zone.
Well, this is all about that penalty that Austin gave away on the edge of the 22 for Toronto. Toronto took advantage. They actually won the line out cleanly and had a couple of really, really good attacks. Austin did very, very well to control it. But in rugby, when you give away an infringement, a penalty, the referee doesn't have to call it immediately. So you'll hear us talk about advantage. And so even though Austin had given away the penalty, the referee let Toronto play to see if they could score when they didn't, he called it back. But this is going to be a big story of the game, Dan. We talked about scrums before this game kicked off and how in other Major League Rugby games they're important. Instead of taking the 3 points, which was an option, or kicking to touch and getting the line out, you can choose a scrum from a penalty, and that's what Toronto have done. And they're going to try and push this Austin scrum all the way over the line. If they can do that, it's going to be tough for the Austin scrum to pick themselves up afterwards.
Not a surprising option here. We've already seen the dominance against the feed from Toronto, and they continue that. Diana at the back controls the ball. This will be a try for sure. The second, all he had to do was pick it up. It looks like a little fumble there.
I think it's a penalty try.
It is a penalty try, Pete. There you go, penalty try will go right under the post. No conversion necessary. 14 points to 3. I think Diana probably would have liked to have had the double there, the legit try, but hands let him down at the end. Here we take a look at the replay, Pete.
Yeah, so in the scrum, you can see that what happens is that Toronto keep going forward, but the Austin players peel off, and the referee said, okay, that's a penalty, and it prevented from Toronto scoring the try, and that's why it's a penalty try. And you can just, it's a great looking pack where all 8 forwards are pushing together, and they just splinter the Austin pack. Their binds need to be stronger. That's a big, big issue for Austin, and there's not much you can do about it as a coach unless they have someone on the bench that can really provide an input on that scrum, and I'm not sure that they do.
Well, there's an impact player for you right there. Manuel Diana. It goes deep more. Some light rain starting to fall here in Austin, Texas. Make this difficult on the players and their handling. Tangavea, he takes it back. Former rugby league player in Australia, now applying his trade over here in Major League Rugby. One scores forward, Maramatonga. Arrows have turned this over. McKenzie. To his left. Adams now plays on the short side. Malcolm spots a little gap. Malcolm gets through. The offload doesn't go to hand though. Opportunity goes begging. No advantage. Let's go down to Jessamine McIntyre now.
Yeah, guys, we've had an on and off light rain throughout these first 15 minutes or so, and when it comes down, it looks like it's going to come down hard, and all of a sudden, we got it stopped. The good thing about it on the field, although the flags are flying, there is not a lot of wind when you're down low on the pitch.
That's good news for you too, Jessamine. Stay dry down there.
Another penalty, this time for holding back a player that's running. One of the things is you can't do in rugby is you can't get in the way of anyone that doesn't have the ball. So you can't block them, you can't grab them. And one of the Austin players was grabbing a player without the ball as they ran down. And here we go again. This is Toronto with the line out near the Austin line. It's going to be tough, but Austin have done well in contesting. I'd like to see them go up, even though it's near the line, contest in the air.
Play that more first. See if that tactic plays out for them. Toronto, obvious dominance at the scrum. You would think the maul as well as they continue to roll forward here. Getting closer. Quattrin at the back. Quattrin has just got to stretch out though. Last minute. The Gilgronis swarm. They had the advantage as well. And now referee Warner probably out of options here with the Austin side. We may see our first card of the match.
So they're in the scrum, in the maul. I think he was saying pulling down the maul, which is dangerous play, and he said that so he sends the player to the sin bin, which is a 10-minute break.
Yeah, Sonny Donga, the number 8 there. He'll do 10 minutes in the bin. There you see it.
And of course that causes another problem because it means in the scrum without Sonny Tonga, it means that Austin only have 7 players and already Toronto had the advantage. So again, with the penalty, what they've decided is if they've decided to choose the scrum, and I think we'll see them look for another pushover try.
Big task here for the Gilgronis. Already dominance. Let's see if they bring a player onto the back here or they're going to play defensively. I think they're going with the defensive option. Sometimes you'll bring it back in to complement the scrum, make it a full 8. Diana at the back. Oh, how about that hit from Makina? Drove him back as well. But it finishes the job. Now Shepherd. Arrows looking dangerous here early on. Already up 14 points to 3. Another try now would be a real dagger in the hearts of the Austin faithful.
And Austin need to keep their discipline. No more penalties.
Already down to 14, Pete, you're right. Any more yellow cards down here could be very costly. Asiata now. The big man, Richie Asiata from New Zealand. Quattrin lays it back. They're close, they dive. There's the grounding. There's the 3rd try for the Arrows. The forwards getting it done tonight for Toronto here in Austin.
Well, it's going to be interesting. The referee, I think he's going to touch with his, check with his assistant referee. I don't think he could see it. So he checks with the assistant referee and he says, okay, did you see the ball touch down? Let's see what he says, having spoken to the assistant referee. It doesn't look like he's going to give the try. It looks like he's talking to Toronto. So, but you know what happens after this? Is a scrum. And he's going to come back. He says, hey, we were playing advantage from a penalty, and so we're going to come back, and it's a penalty. And if I'm Toronto here, I think that I actually go for the points. Like that last scrum, I know they have the advantage, but let's see if we can see the grounding here. You can see the referee works really hard. Oh, there's a little bit of a drop ball. That's a good. So when you drop the ball, that's a knock on, Dan. You can't drop the ball like that, and I think that's what the touch judge said, and I think that's what the referee saw. But we're now back with a scrum for Toronto. Let's see if we can see it on this side. No clear grounding there. Oh, looks like he lost it forward there too.
Great work from the assistant referee, Butch Newswander over there. One of the more experienced campaigners for USA Rugby referees. He'll be patrolling one touchline. Scott Green the other. We saw him yesterday in the Houston, Colorado match down there in Houston. So Major League Rugby officials getting a good workout this year as well.
And a great example with Lex Weiner, they're using the assistant referees, working with them before he makes the call. And I think we both thought that that was a try, but you could see on the replay, really, really good work by the officials.
It's back to scrum time here for the Arrows. That one comes out. Diana wasn't ready for that. Doesn't matter though, as McKenzie stretches out for the line. He's so close. And is there another knock on here? Timeout again. Referee Weiner will go back to a familiar face. And we have the exact same question mark that we had before.
So he's going to check. I think the Toronto subs that were there warming up were excited. No try again. There was a knock on. And I think that's why I would take those 3 points. We've had 2 scrums. Toronto haven't been able to control the ball. They both came out. And now there's a chance for Austin to clear their lines, although it's been a real struggle for them on their defense, on their ball attacking. They actually held those last 2 scrums. This is going to be a really, really big challenge. Interesting thing that they've done in the scrum, which is what I thought they might do, is that they've switched White and Echeverria. So props on both sides. One's called the tight head, one's called the loose head. They're in different matchups. So if you have players that play both sides like Austin do and they're struggling, they'll say, let's switch props and see if we can get a better matchup. So we might actually see a better scrum here.
And there you can see Whangawea in the 12 jersey. He slips into that 6 position as they go with a full complement of 8. Why Sonitonga is in the sin bin, sorry, for Austin.
So they want to get the ball in and get it out quickly before Toronto can get their shovel.
You see Shade with the quick hook as well. Better platform here for Austin. As Torrealba drives that ball downfield, all the way towards the 40-meter line.
That's a great clearance. I mean, think about the pickup that is for Austin to be able to hold on for that long.
And we will take a short break here from Bold Stadium. 14 points to 3. A yellow card for the Gilgronis. The story of the opening 20 minutes. When we return from the break, the first half continues. It's 2 tries for the Arrows, 3 points on the board for the Gilgronis. We are back at Bold Stadium, Austin, Texas, inside the Circuit of America Raceway here. Beautiful venue for Major League Rugby on a Sunday night, 14-3 as we go down to the field with Jessamine McIntyre right now.
Thanks so much. Standing by with Roland Suniula, who we saw win a championship with the Seattle Seawolves last year, returns to his original team in the Austin Gilgronis now. Now you join your other brother, Andrew, here, who's now a coach. Tell me what the reunion has been like.
It's been good. It's a different dynamic now that he's in the coach and pulling the strings. My role hasn't changed much. Still a player. I'm still involved with the lads, very much, day-to-day stuff, so it's been good.
There's been a strong effort to change the culture here. Obviously, a winless season last year, not easy to come off of. You know what it's like on the other side. What would you say you think of the culture so far? I know it's early in the season.
Our biggest theme, day one, was about doing your job. Know your roles and doing your job and doing it well, and using the process that the coaches give us to prepare well for the weekend. And so that was our first day one, and then we built into culture on being resilient and having a relentless attitude and enjoyment.
Now, Toronto's obviously been aggressive in this first half here, 14-3, but you were out there in the huddle with the team. What was the message you were sending to them?
Just stay in the fight. We're in this game. Just problem solve. Things aren't going to go our way, so boys just got to think on their feet and react. Be reactive and not to react. Be proactive and not be reactive.
Okay, thank you so much. Good luck.
Thanks, Jason.
Thank you, Jessamine. Thank you, Roland Suniula. It would be great to see him back on the field. What an experienced player to bring back for Austin.
Yeah, he is absolutely would be a big boost for them in the midfield. But again, the story is of penalties, Dan. 2 more penalties, and Toronto have the ball and line out again right next to the Austin line.
One overthrown for the Arrows as Shade. He takes that up towards the 22. Torrealba. A little bit messy at the back there for Austin. Now it's a better platform to kick from as they go deep. Puddick, nice clearing kick there, all the way up towards the halfway line. Nothing Dan Moore can do about that one as it sails over his head into the grandstand. It'll be a line out for the Arrows. And they lose quite a large amount of territory on the exchange there, Pete, now up towards the 50.
Well, I think that, we heard Jessamine talk to Roland Suniula about the culture, and you can see Austin are really coming with a lot of fight. They've been able to hold out Toronto twice when they've been within 5 meters of their line, but they have to not give away penalties. And there's Andrew, the brother, looking at the game from height. It's the best place to watch the game of rugby is from up in the stands. Great to have him as part of the coaching staff here too.
Sure is. A Shepherd. It's a half gap. Dan Moore, he spots a full gap though. Moore up towards the 22-meter line now for the Arrows. They'll play quickly. Firstly, Keith. He pumps his legs, trying to get into that red zone. Keep it tight again. Watchering. No advantage. A little obstruction there, it looked like, or a little handling error maybe as he hit the ground. Referee wanted right on top of things. And we'll have a scrum here, and you can see these positive exchanges for Austin are starting to have an effect too. We had those 2 quick tries for Toronto, jumped out to a lead. It could have been anything at that point, Pete, but you can see the positivity through this side. That culture you talked about with the Suniula brothers, they're having an effect early here for Austin.
So they, talked about resilience and relentlessness, and we can see that in their play and the ability for them just to be able to continue to work on defense. Defense, Dan, is about getting up, launching, making your tackle, getting up and launching, and they're doing that well. But they've had a couple of problems with players coming through the middle, and they've got to make sure that they shore that up.
Another big push here from Toronto. Austin do enough though. No, not in the eyes. Referee, penalty there for wheeling it around. This one right in front in the 22. Perhaps now a time to take 3 points.
I think it's time to take 3 points because they've got the dominance in the scrum. They're not near the line. You can see that actually Austin are holding them just at the start, but the wave and the inability of the Austin players to stay square under that pressure is causing problems, and it looks like Malcolm's going to take the points.
I think this is the right option, Pete. 3 points here, especially if the weather continues to rain on and off. The intermittent showers will turn this into a bit of an attrition for both sides, so points could be off a premium down the stretch. Good option here, especially with a kicker, the likes of Sam Malcolm.
I think that's right, and I think that it's you've had all the pressure in the last 15 minutes. You've had lots of scrum penalties. You've tried to put it in by taking the scrum, and you say, we just need to get away. We need to turn some of this pressure and play into points, and that's what they're doing.
Flags are up. No mistakes from Malcolm. 14 points to 3. Turns into 17 points to 3. It's the Arrows. They extend their lead to 14 here over Austin.
So last time Austin had the kickoff, last time they put the ball down inside the Toronto half, they were able to pin them near the 22, but remember, Dan, they gave away a penalty for not rolling away. They cannot afford any defensive penalties. If they kick deep, keep your strong defensive wall. Let Toronto keep the ball. They'll kick it back to you, and then let your dynamic runners do some damage with the ball in hand.
They look to do that as they drive this deep into the 22. Over the head with McKenzie. He fumbles that one. Moore picks it up. Jinking run from Moore. Broken plays where he's at his most dangerous, Dan Moore. Come down this left-hand side again. Arrows, unsurprisingly, keeping it pretty tight in this part of the field. May have a little bit of a breeze in their face, not electing to use the foot very often. As I say that, goes right back to Mires as he drives that ball downfield. Haven't seen much of Gaston Mires tonight, one of the most electrifying attacking players in Major League Rugby. His buttock goes very, very high. A lot of pressure there, well taken though, under pressure from Adams. Now McKenzie to his left, Asiata. Been impressed with Asiata's debut as a Toronto Arrow tonight.
Arrows have space wide if they can move it.
Well, they have, Pete, and they have moved in that direction now. Full of running, Dan Moore down the sideline, one-on-one with his opposite number there. And Donahoe, no slouch in the speed department as well. Now it opens up down the middle. Oh, big run as Keith moves it quickly. Now Adams picks up Malcolm. Malcolm jinks off his left foot. Defense comes in and brings him down. Still opportunities both ways. Here for the Arrows. There's Mires. Comes off his wing looking for work. Shepherd. Contact as he puts that back into Lesage. The Arrows here knocking on the door. They'd love another try. It'd be Asiata. Wouldn't he love 5 points next to his name? Cap off a great night already for his Arrows debut. McKenzie, quick hands. Yana already 5 points. They come right again, quick hands will do it. Moore in the corner. Beautiful ball from Adams though, flat cut out pass to Moore. And the skipper gets 5, and you can see him thanking his fly half right there. Beautiful lead up work from the number 10 from New Zealand.
Well, there was some really, really good play there by Toronto. They were able to play with pace. You can see this is from a kick from Elan Puddock, which I'm not sure he really wants to do. He needs to keep that ball in hand, and we said they've got space wide. And look at what Moore does. He comes back inside so he doesn't get pushed out of bounds. They're able to move that ball quickly. A couple of actually really, really good plays. There was Cole Keith, who had a great break as a tight head prop through the middle. But you're right, some great hands put Moore into the corner. But I'm going to come all the way back to the Elan Puddock kick. He had the ball, he could have countered, he kicked it back. They were able to catch it under pressure, but I don't think Austin can give that ball away. I think they need to keep it in hand.
I think you're right. Well, you young wingers watching at home, get your pen and paper, take some notes on Dan Moore. Positional play outstanding on the initial break, stuck on his wing, stayed out in those train tracks, went back to his home again. Adams knew when he had the ball in that situation, he could rely on his winger. Right on the sideline, he picks up 5 points. Now Malcolm looks to stay perfect on the night. The right boot, 22 points to 3 with a kick to come here.
Hard for a right-footed kicker over here, but Malcolm has such a great foot. It was great to see him with ball in hand as well. You could see when Toronto get that space, how dangerous their backs are.
One of the toughest performances I've seen from a player in Major League Rugby. Sam Malcolm in the semi-final last year. Samu Manoa, Api Nakatini just flying into the youngster. We have a little bit of a false start here. Little reset. Yeah, very, very tough young kid.
So the score was in the corner, and Malcolm tried to steal a couple of meters. He came all the way to the 5, and the referee said, hold on, That wasn't where the ball was scored. So when you take your conversion, you have to take it where the ball was put down. So as the ball was put down near the corner flag, right at the edge, you actually have to take the kick. You pull the line back from the perpendicular to the try line, and that's where you have to take the kick from. So it's funny that the referee told him to move to the side.
Well, doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. He nailed it.
Flags go right up in the air. 24 points to 3. As we take one last look from head on, this will look good, Pete.
Yeah, well, you could see Dan Moore getting round the outside, coming inside. And I think that, great support by the backs. Then they were able to move it wide. But it's the handling right here by Adams that was just absolutely beautiful. Took the ball all the way to the line, stayed square.
Get things back underway here over the sideline on the full. So when it rains, it pours in Austin, both literally and figuratively here for the Gilgronis. And unfortunately, they'll come back to halfway for another scrum, Pete.
That's right. So on the kickoff, basically you need to keep the ball in play so the other team is able to attack. And if you kick it all the way out, it comes back to where it's kicked. And you actually have a choice of a line out, so they could have actually taken the line out on the halfway. I've seen that happen a couple of times, but with the dominance that the Toronto scrum has had, this is easy. And this is the best attacking spot in the field because it puts so much pressure on the back three.
Diana off the back. Set the platform for Mackenzie. Now Mires. The little shuffle step from Mires. Gaston Mires, the rocket man. He lights it up down this right-hand side. Winger to Moore. He'll step into 9. What can't he do, Gaston Mires? And now the Arrows looking for the bonus point try here. Mackenzie back to his right. Quick hand as Moore jinks his way looking for his second, but spills it under some pressure there from the Gilgronis. How about that off the scrum? You talked about it, the opportunity to attack both ways. Both wingers stacked to the right side.
Yeah, so really interesting play. They had both wingers to the right. That put a wing on a center, and he just went all the way around Fangaua. I think he could have done a little bit better, but actually Austin did well, and just the knock-on at the end. It's been the knock-ons that have really hurt Toronto. I think they've probably left a couple of tries on the pitch because of their knock-ons.
Spent some time down in Vegas in the preseason trying to get outside, but we've talked about this. It's February. Some of these northern sides aren't going to get outside a lot. These first few games are going to be a test for them. Sonny Tonga back from the sin bin looking to make up for his earlier indiscretion. Great counter ruck comes in there. Lucas Rumble, one-man wrecking ball.
But looks like he came in from the side. So when a tackle happens, you have to come in from your side. They call it the gate Dan, and the gate is basically over the ball. And if you come in on the side, that's a penalty. And again, it gives Austin a chance to clear their lines and maybe have an attacking platform that they haven't had really since, before the water break.
It does feel like it's been a while, Pete, since they've been down inside the Arrows half of the field. They'll have this line out just short of the 40-metre line. As you see, shaved with the throw. To get some continuity in their attack here. Tipped off the top. Albert brings it down. Coming back though, penalty here. Do you have the hand up to the Arrows for a penalty, or we? No.
I think it was not straight.
Not straight. Even better. What would I do without you, Pete?
Well, so in rugby, you just need a fair contest at the set piece. So in the line out, the ball has to go down the middle. And what you'll see is when the ball comes in, you can see the Austin player actually reaches out to their side to be able to push it to their scrum half, to Torrealba. And so that's what the referee looks for. They look, is it inside their shoulder or outside their shoulder? Disappointing there because I think Austin had a really good attacking platform.
Come back to the scrum now. Goes wide. Looping run there for Moore. A little bit too much lateral movement there. Mires, he'll try to make something out of nothing here. Gets him on the run. Comes down now. Moore again, busy start for the captain. Really busy start. It'll be interesting to see how many touches he's had in this first half, Pete. It feels like he's almost hit double figures. The right winger staying very, very busy here.
He's always looking for the ball, and he comes off his wing and pops up all over the place. And of course, such a dangerous runner.
Comes down for Rumble. Oh, he's sealing breakdowns as well. What can't he do? High box kick, pressure coming. Well taken though. Well taken at the back there. And that was Puddick. Like we said, very familiar with playing in fullback position, his preferred position, so very safe under the high ball.
And it's not unusual to put a player that's not used to playing in the middle of the defense at the back. It's very different being a fullback and looking up and catching kicks and running around, and as you know, Dan, being a fly half and having to launch up with the line.
Taylor Adams there. Fly half. Great acquisition, pick up. Played a couple of games for the Rebels in the Super Rugby competition. So obviously class player, as is that man, Jamie McKenzie. One of Canada's finest. Throw him on bench straight as well, and you can see the conditions as the rain is starting to pour here, wreaking havoc, especially on the line out. The hooker's having a tough time getting that ball down the middle.
So when it's not straight, the other team, in this case Austin, has a choice. You can either have a line out or you can have a scrum. And considering the struggles that they've had in the scrum, they've made the wise choice of choosing the line out. But it means you really have to win it. If I'm Austin, I'm not throwing this to the back. I'm going for the safe throw to the front, make sure you win the ball, and hold on to the ball for a few phases. You've been on defense for a long time.
Try that. Again, the handling, not straight again. And of course, Toronto, they're not going to muck around with another line out. They will take the scrum every day.
And this is, I think, just a little bit of this preseason. I mean, I talked to a couple of the Austin players. They were really excited for this game. But their preparation has been a little disrupted by the new ownership. Everyone's very excited, but there's been a lot of change in the last 10 days. And you can see that when it impacts the technical side and the coordinated side like a line-out.
Diana at the back will hold the ball for McKenzie to his right. Nice stabbing kick there from Adams. Look to find the sideline or have this sit up a little bit too far. It'll trickle over. We'll come all the way back for a scrum now.
Well, it's actually a choice, right? So it could come all the way back for the scrum, or you could have a 22 dropout. You actually have that choice, and I think they're going to choose the scrum. But you could see Torrey Alba right there was like, hey, you know, has anyone made this choice? Because no one's covering me. He could have gone for it very quickly. But I think, you know, the last couple of scrums that Austin have had defensively, they've held up okay. The question is, can they hold up on the attack?
I think half of his team had already got back to the scrum. They weren't very confident in the 22. It's a 45-metre difference. They'll take their chances at the scrum here. Great shot down the tunnel. Big push from Toronto. That one's turned over. Not only is it turned over, they'll get the penalty as well. McKenzie under pressure. Now Dutoit, quick hands. Down it comes Moore, can't handle. He was under pressure though. No advantage, will come back for the penalty. What a scrum from the Arrows. Wow, that set piece has been impressive in this opening 40, Pete.
It has been, and you know, I think it's putting down a bit of a marker because Echeverria and White are not poor scrummagers. They are good props. And this Austin team have some pretty good size behind them. And so I think Toronto's laying down a marker here saying, you know, the teams that's had the best scrum has often been the team that's won the competition. And we want to be the best scrum this year.
So Malcolm, he'll take a long range shot at 3 here. Just inside the 50s, looking at about 48 meters. Pretty much right in front of the post though. This should close out the first half action as long as he's successful with this kick. There you take a look at the long shot there. Quite a distance for the young fullback.
He has a little bit of the wind to his back, but it's going to need a good strike. I mean, he made a beautiful kick from the touchline after Dan Moore's tries. So I think that gave him the confidence, and now he's saying, sure, we'll give it a go. The worst thing that happens here is he doesn't make it and it ends the half and they go in with a commanding lead.
The 24-year-old from New Zealand put 3 more on the board. Flags stay down. Now dot this one down. Back to the 22.
Not quite the end of the half, so it's going to be a little kickoff. The play doesn't end when the clock goes to 40. The play ends after the clock has gone to the 40 and the ball has gone dead.
Launches this one down. Almost to the 22 off the arrows, and Malcolm, he may have missed the kick. He doesn't miss the sideline with that one. That takes us through to the halftime break. It has been all Toronto. 24 points to 3 in the opening 40 here at Bold Stadium. The Gilgronis, they'll go to the sheds. Can the words of wisdom from 2-time World Cup winning All Black assistant coach Mick Byrne save them? Or will the onslaught continue? 3 tries in the first half, all the way after Toronto Arrows. They lead 24 points to 3 over Austin. When we return from the break, all the highlights and action coming up.
Welcome to the field, 4.7s and Rock Rugby 7s.
There is more Major League Rugby on Fox Sports coming up February 23rd on FS2. It's the Legion and the Free Jacks, both winners today. Manonu, Tig lead up, both stars for their outfits.
Well, the first half of the game, Dan, hasn't been lots of flowing rugby, but there was one moment that I really thought the Arrows showed what they could do. It came from a counter, from a kick from Elan Pudek. They were able to move the ball wide, and then watch this as the forwards, Mike Shepard combining with Cole Keith on great play to be able to keep that going forward. You can see it again. Nice and slow. Austin should have this cover, but some great running, some great hands. I think that was Shepard again that was able to move it wide. Dan Moore steps inside, doesn't get pushed out of bounds. Great ball presentation. Backs go over the top. Mackenzie's moving it, and it's just beautiful, beautiful play. It's been hard to do in these conditions, but you could see what the Arrows could do when they had the ball.
And the conditions have played a part as we take a look at the first half stats pick.
They have played a part, but this has really been about the set piece of Toronto, creating penalties that the AGs have given away, but Toronto have not taken advantage because of all of their knock-ons. All of those knock-ons have been inside the AG's 22.
24 points to 3 here at Bold Stadium. It's a wet Sunday night in Austin, Texas. Can the Gilgronis find a way to fight back, or do the Arrows finish the job in the second half? We'll find out after this.
Welcome back to Austin, Texas, where Toronto is dominating 24-3 at the halfway mark. I'm standing by with head coach Chris Silverthorne. What can we expect after watching what we saw? Welcome back to Austin, Texas, where Toronto is dominating 24-3 at the halfway mark. I'm standing by with head coach Chris Silverthorne. What can we expect after watching what we saw in the first half as we get to the final 40?
Well, I hope we can clean up some of these mistakes. Just too many ball handling errors, just too many mistakes on the ground. We got to really tighten up our game. I know we're very happy with 24 points, but we can play better, and we will.
Okay, thank you so much. Good luck in the second half. All right, guys, we are moments away from the second half of this one. Stay tuned for Major League Rugby.
40 minutes in the books here at Bold Stadium, 24 points to 3. The Arrows electric in that opening 40 as they lead here over the Gilgronis. Pete, what has to happen in that Austin shed at halftime to turn this around?
Well, I mean, it's going to really be about two things, I think. One is they need to find a way to at least win their own scrum. They're not going to be dominant, but can they hold on long enough to be able to win their own scrum? And then the second thing is they need to be able to not give away penalties in Toronto's half. Pin them there. Have patience on your defense. Don't try and turn the ball over too quickly. Let Toronto kick back and then use that to be able to launch an attack.
For Toronto, a win here tonight on the road would be huge as we look at their upcoming schedule. Obviously, a lot of travel early up for Toronto.
Well, last year it was 8 games on the road, and this year it's 6. And even their home game, which is next weekend in Las Vegas against the Sabercats, is really away. But they're going to be tested. Houston came out well yesterday. They won. Seattle Seawolves, defending champions, and Rugby ATL were surprise winners yesterday. So they'll have a good opportunity to test themselves over the next 3 weeks.
Yeah, they will. They run into a Seattle side that suffered their first loss in a long while against San Diego today. Vengeance for the final. I'm sure Coach Rob Holloway would take the win in the final over today, though.
I think that's right.
Take a look at what's coming up for the Gilgronis now. Doesn't get any easier. They face New York next week, who come off the loss against the Free Jacks today.
Well, I actually think that I would say it actually does get a little bit easier for them because Toronto have come in as one of the favorites. I think you've put them to be champions, Dan. So they get New York. New York was surprise losers today, and then Utah and Old Glory both lost. So they actually have a chance to come up against the next 3 teams and say, hey, let's see how we do against teams that lost in the first weekend.
Well, they have found a beautiful home here at Bold Stadium inside the Circuits of America as we take a look at the summary from the first half. And as you can see, 4 marks on that left column for the Arrows, just the penalty kick for the Gilgronis, Pete.
Yeah, and I actually think that Diana had some more opportunities. He was very close to the line, and it was the handling errors that prevented Toronto from scoring more. And for the AGs, they just didn't have enough ball inside the Toronto half to really have many attacking opportunities. But, Austin have defended very well. They put a lot of pressure. They caused those knock-ons, so they can take that away coming into the second half.
Of course, the penalty try as well for the Arrows there. You didn't see. That should have been another 5 points for Diana. You talked about that little mistake off the back. Well, the Arrows, business as usual this second 40. They just need to continue. You heard Coach Silverthorne just clean up the handling errors a little bit. Expected, though, week 1 of the season. Yeah,
I think that's right. I mean, these guys actually train in the dome. It's unbelievably cold up in Toronto right now, so this is their first chance to come out. When we turned up here, we said, oh, it's a little chilly. And, the Toronto players that I talked to said they've been walking around Austin in T-shirts, even though everyone else is in their winter coats.
Well, we are dry in the confines of the commentary box. Jessamine McIntyre is on the sideline roughing the elements. Is it going to be a dry second half, Jessamine?
It is expected to be. The elements have subsided for now. I was looking at the weather radar, and it did say that there was one big downpour we saw right before halftime, and it is not expected anything but a sprinkle here or there as we continue throughout the final 40.
Well, good for your front lawn for the spring just around the corner. A little bit of rain, a little bit of moisture gets the grass growing. Not great for the handling, though. As the Gilgronis, they'll be on the left here to get us restarted in the second half. Find themselves down by 21 points, though. A lot of work ahead of them as they are to come back. It just floats up in the breeze there. Dan Moore able to get a grip on it. You see a little bit of the fog machine still rolling across the field, making it very difficult to see down in that corner. Asiata at the back. And lock things up for McKenzie.
No penalties here for Austin. Just make Toronto kick. Then you get the ball with an attacking platform.
You see a little bit more patience here. As they open this second stanza, it'll be McKenzie off the back. Goes to the right boot. Nice low driving kick there from McKenzie. See where the assistant referee marks this one. Looks like it's going to be right on the 40-meter line as they pick up a valuable chunk of real estate there. You see McKenzie having a joke too. I'm pretty sure it was another 5 meters downfield.
Well, Dan, every kicker thinks it's a little bit further than the assistant referee thinks it is. And of course, the assistant referee is judging where it crossed the line. So there's always going to be a bit of disagreement. Really, really important line out here. What we need is they need some really good ball. And look for Dominic Aquina in the centers. Look for him to take the ball if they can get it to him.
That's him just to the right of your screen there. Doesn't get his hands on it this time. Torrealba picks up his big lock in Nuramatonga. Ward, he's met with a low chopping tackle there. Torrealba pulls deep. And the fullback, the rocket, Rodrigo Silva. You know, he can motor when he gets in some open space as well. His first touch of the game, I believe. 41 minutes passed, and now a penalty goes to the Arrows. And that's what you don't want to do if you're the Austin Gilgronis.
Yeah, you know, we talked about penalties, Dan, and we said Austin can't give them away, but they gave one on attack, which is actually really rare. And the referee said coming in on the side. So just like the defender has to come in over the ball to contest, the attacker needs to come in over the ball to win it. But it's actually pretty rare for that to be called, so it must be a pretty egregious lock. And again, Austin find themselves defending a line out on their 22. Really tough. They got that ball, they had some phases. It looked like they lost a little bit of their structure, and I think that's why they ended up giving away that penalty.
Watching. No mistakes with that throw as McKenzie brings it down. Adams, short, Shepherd into contact there right on the 22 midfield here for the Arrows. A little bit of a mess at the back there. See McKenzie pleading, thought there was a little hand that come through. Referee Winer, he will play the knock on against Toronto. So a sigh of relief for the Gilgronis as they avoid the first opportunity there for the Arrows to put on points.
Well, I mean, that was what's called a really great counter ruck. So when the tackle happens, players go over the top, it's called a ruck. And if the defense is able to come through and counter ruck, you can disrupt the ball. And that's exactly what Austin did, and it caused the knock on. But here's the scrum. Let's see if there's any change in what Austin does in the scrum.
A big story in the first half was the dominance of the Toronto scrum.
But Toronto need to be a little careful. They pushed there a little early. You are not allowed to start driving forward until the ball comes in. They were called for a free kick in the first half.
Reset here, Torrealba with to put in another big push from the Arrows, so right over the top. And it's got to be tough to fix that scrum at halftime, but that's some work to do during the season there. Down to Jessamine though. Any reports from the halftime break?
Yeah, guys, down 24-3 doesn't matter too much to this Austin reserves as they came out of the locker room fired up at the half. And you got a lot of energy coming out here. Roland Sunilo told me in the first half just how much they're working to change the culture, and you feel that it doesn't matter. They might be down, but they're never out.
You see the bench just chomping at the bit to get their opportunity here tonight.
And of course, the challenge of Austin's bench when it comes to the scrum is that they've got two young American players, right? So they've got Skylar Adams, so he's one of their props, played at Lindenwood, and they've got Mason Peterson, who's from Long Beach and is a local player, played with the U20s, and those guys are good, but I'm not sure that they're going to give you the stability that they need from the props in the scrum.
He added in Alex Rees as well, young Arkansas State product, came back to Austin to work. Next thing you know, he's playing Major League Rugby. Good little fly half out of there. There's the maul set here for the Arrows. They had the advantage as well. McKenzie just marshalling the troops here. Trying to find a direct path to the try line. Seata to his left. Moore comes in as well. Seata. Now McKenzie finds Adams, pass goes behind. The fly half, though advantage will come back for the penalty. Pressure will continue here for Austin.
And so that penalty was, I think, coming in on the side on the line out, and it's just, you can see as the forwards come forward, as the Toronto forwards come forward. They were able to win the ball. And this is just Adams took his eyes just a little bit off the ball, but the referee brings it all the way back to the maul, and it's the maul that's been a real problem for them. But it does give, whenever there's a penalty, Dan, it does give an opportunity for the attacking team to go for it. And I think that's what Adams saw. I think there was space wide, and he was a little bit too eager to get the ball there.
Mind. Set. Yes, sir.
Scrum there from Austin. Turns over, reset. It's one of the more difficult things to fix on the run, isn't it, Pete? And the set piece, so important.
Yeah, and you actually saw Noah Maitonga right there, like blow his cheeks out because it's hard in the second row. Like I said, I think I would have switched their props, see if they could do something on the other side, but there's not much that they're going to be able to do except keep working and try to find little moments when they can hold. Like if they can hold them here and make Toronto move the ball away from the scrum, that'll be a win.
Mind.
Another reset here, getting a little testy too. And you can understand the frustrations. Echeverria and White, the front rows for Austin. It's been a tough night at the office for both of them.
It has, and Echeverria is from Uruguay. Played 43 times for Uruguay, experienced international. He's short, which makes him difficult to scrum against. And in Uruguay, the scrum is the most important part of the game. So you know that he's going to be frustrated.
Crouch. Mind. Set. Yes, sir.
Back in here, Young at the back. Look to move forward, McKenzie wants it though. Scoots out, little hole, McKenzie just has to get the ball down. He does just that. That's a great reward for a great game for the scrum half. McKenzie opens the second half with 5 points for Toronto, 29 points to 3.
Well, it's all been about the scrum dominance. You can see what the referee sees is he sees Austin wheel the scrum. That means it takes all of the defenders away. Nice little block there by Rumble to get in the way of any of the flankers coming across. You can see the number 7 comes out, takes out Akima right there. That's not legal, but is able to get away with it as he goes forward and puts the ball down.
Well, let me ask you this. Rumble's still bound there. He's got his hand on. Akina's not bound. He is gone from the scrum before the ball's out. So pick your poison. Which one's more illegal?
Yeah, you can get there. I'm not sure any referee would have called that. I think when that scrum was destroyed, he was already playing the penalty, and it may have ended up being a penalty try. But it's, really, that was a little bit more efficient there by Toronto in this half, getting down there and making sure they walk away with a scrum in their first entry into the Austin's 22.
Now Malcolm, just that long range penalty, the only miss of the night so far for the fullback. Look to convert this try. That is the bonus point as well for Toronto. 4 tries on the night. Great strike there from Malcolm as you see some changes coming on. Colby Francis makes his way out there for Paul Cellini.
Young Canadian Francis comes on, 6'5", 260 pounds, and he's one of those guys that I think Toronto see as potential international and getting some good professional experience.
And Moore brought down on his own 22. Again, look to run this out, improve their field position.
Again, no penalties for Austin. Just make Toronto kick and then get a platform to attack.
Create some space for McKenzie to do just that. As he finds the sideline successfully. Again, about 45 out from his own line. It'll be a line out here for Austin. Had their troubles in the scrum, but also the line out as well tonight.
Looks like we have some more subs with JP Novak coming on for Rikus Swart. So again, maybe that'll help a little bit in the line out. A little bit of a jumper. I want to see Akina be able to get the ball from these lineouts. You can see he's set up in the midfield. That's who they're looking to feed, but they just haven't been able to win the ball cleanly. So clean win here, get it to Akina and get some go forward.
That one not straight in the wrong direction. He actually threw it to Toronto that time, but free kick will go the way of Austin. There is that man, Akina.
So a free kick means you can't kick it into touch, so you're just going to tap it.
Shea does that, but under the attention of Asiata, spills it forward. No advantage will come back for the scrum.
I don't think so. I think the referee is saying not 10. So he was telling Toronto to get back. He said they weren't back, and I think what they want is not Shea taking the ball on his own. What they want is they want to be able to set something up. You can see there's a little bit of pushing as they try and get the ball. Torrey Alba not putting up with it as Rumbell pushes in. I like, you know, as a former scrum half, what I actually like is for my number 8 to do that job, not for me to do it.
Yeah, saw the reaction from Rumble. I think he felt like a mosquito would have been more annoying in that situation. Not phased at all.
Well, interesting choice here. So it's a free kick, and you can choose a scrum, and that's what Austin do. Now, normally, Dan, you would choose that. That's exactly what you would choose. That's what the coaching book would say, but only when you can win your scrum. So this is a big gamble by Austin with the hope that they can actually win the ball.
Great platform there for Austin. Sonny Tonga goes off the back. Up to 22. Not releasing. So a penalty goes here to Austin. Chance here to drive this into the corner, you would think.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, in the game the way you are right now, you want to be able to get tries. And so I think you're going to kick it to the corner. And, you know, we talked about, oh, he didn't make touch. Tried to be a little bit too cute.
And as always, Dan Moore on the spot. Brings this back towards the 22. They look to centralise the ball here, close to the field. Oh, great work from Akina on Asiata there. He's got some good game about him, hasn't he, young Akina? We'll get another touch here. There's the Gilgronis in the 22. Echeverria picks up the rocket, Silva.
Not much structure here from Austin. They've got to be able to get together so they can really make sure they get go forward and support and play a little bit quicker.
Torrey Alba looking to play here. The whistle goes. Wait for the call. So there's no advantage. We're coming back, walking towards the Toronto Arrows try line here.
I think Akina is one of those players. I spoke to Roland Siniulo before, and he just talked about how he's a sponge. He's a football player. He's an incredible athlete, but he's a sponge. You tell him to do something once, and he learns how to do it. So he's going to be learning a huge amount in the game. And of course, he's on the field, Dan, because he turned up for a tryout at one of the combines. It's like he put his hand up and said, I want to be a professional rugby player. And then you can see him right here, and what an impact that player is going to have.
Guys, we talk about what a physical freak Akina is, and you know, we talked about the vertical and everything that he did at the combine, but one thing that people don't realize is that he came all the way from Beaverton, Oregon to try out for this team. He played at Western Oregon, was a defensive back in football, and as you know, it's hard for those skills to translate over to rugby. People think that it's such a synonymous sport, but it's really not, and it's completely different shape you have to be in, a different skill set completely, and you look at what he's able to do out here. This is a rare player we are looking at in Akina.
Yeah, definitely an impressive athlete, Jessamine. Up in your neck of the woods in the Pacific Northwest up there, you do a lot of work with Washington State. Do you ever see him running around, or is that different divisions?
I believe the Pac-12 is not inclusive of Western Oregon, but we can look into it. Expansion's always a possibility.
There you go, Pac-12 becoming the Pac-13, according to Jessamine McIntyre. Welcome Western Oregon to the Pac-13.
I know. I thought Jessamine maybe was looking down a little bit to Western Oregon when she said that when the Pac-12 wasn't inclusive. But if there's players like Akina, maybe they should be, or maybe we should be looking for more of those players to come in and join Major League Rugby teams, because that guy is going to be a stud.
He's looking good so far in his initial hit out here in Major League Rugby. Akina, McKenzie puts it in. Lost control of the back. That should be a penalty there. They left very early. I'm sure the referee may have pulled that ball out though. Still forward, yep. And we'll come here for another knock on. So another scrum though.
But you can see what a difference is. It looks like, and maybe it's some changes in the Toronto team, but it looks like Austin, while not having parity, is having a slightly more solid scrum, and that's changed the complexion of this game. It allows Austin to stay down here inside the 22 of Toronto and apply pressure.
Some more subs coming in here. 4 tries for the Arrows. They get the bonus point. You think they hold on here, 31-3. Closing in on the final 20 minutes, Pete. Good initial win on the road for them, but again, I think Chris Silverthorne will go back to Toronto, and actually I think they're going straight to Vegas for the week. Get some work outside. Still a lot of kinks to iron out.
I actually think they're heading back because they've got 6 games on the road, and they're going back and forth. And they're going to have 1 week where they're going to stay down in the southern states, but everything else they're going to go back to the Dome. And I think what we're seeing with these early subs, they just brought in 5 subs all at the same time, is that pre-season exhaustion that you get when you get to the 60-minute. Playing 80 minutes is tough, and so I think they've brought some fresh legs on to put some more pressure on this Austin scrum.
Let's see if that works. Alba with the put in. A stalemate, that one. Let's funnel we up. He goes into the 22 here. They'd love a try. Get this home crowd something to get excited about here tonight at Bold Stadium. From across field. Viavasa. He's tackled now. Some opportunities both ways. Puttick to the right. Quick tap, Torrealba. Needs some options. Maybe he does it. Dancing his way very close to the line there, the scrum half. Finally dragged down just a metre short. As they'll keep it in tight with the forwards. It's all body height here. We've seen the Arrows score in almost identical position in the first half, and there it is. They get it over. It's the hooker, Shade. He gets 5 points for the Gilgronis. And for you trivia folk, the first ever try for the Austin Gilgronis is that man right there, Chris Shade.
Well, what a great decision by Torrealba. Normally, when you have a penalty in that spot, you can see when the ball comes out, he gets it. They're not back 10. That means the Toronto players cannot tackle him until he gets so close to the line, but that's close enough. And then this is the relentlessness that the Gilgronis are looking for. It's what Roland Suniolo talked about to me before the game, which is it doesn't matter what the score is. We're going to keep playing and keep playing. And I think that's a pretty well-deserved try from the solid scrums and the ability to be able to keep Toronto down in the line.
There is Shade. Conversion, flags are up, 31 points to 10. We will take a short break here in the second half. A try for the Gilgronis. Is it enough to get them back in this contest? We'll find out after this. It's 31 points to 8, Toronto in the lead.
Team and information. Follow us on our social media channels and at gilgronis.com.
31 points to 8 here, Bold Stadium in Austin, Texas. It's the Arrows over the Gilgronis. 59-47 gone, about 20 minutes left to play, which will close out week 1 of Major League Rugby. We have kicked off season 3. A try for that man, Chris Shade. The last play before the break. It'll be the Arrows kicking off. Deep, deep kick. Again, the handling down that end has been difficult tonight for both sides. Sonny Tonga. He spills that one. Goes backwards though. There's Tori Alba. And we'll look to clear this ball. Off the boot he goes. Doesn't find the line though. Here's Mirez, broken play. Oh, Gaston Mirez. You are a thing of beauty, my friend. As he dances his way up inside the 40. They go wide more. The pass under pressure. Dutois they couldn't handle. Now the counter-attack. Faison Donahoe, he spills it. No advantage.
So now these knock-ons aren't as actually problematic for Austin. It was in the first half that when Toronto knocked the ball on, it would be a scrum, and that means Toronto would get the ball back. And now, as the fans have fun, certainly, I think he's definitely a Texas Austin supporter.
I'm not sure. Is that a Gilgroni?
That might be it. It might be a Gilgroni.
It wouldn't be an event without a streaker, right? At least he kept the sluggos on.
Well, now
let's watch his footwork. Maybe we can recruit him.
Well, I'm looking for the tackling technique of the security staff.
They're hesitant. They don't want him to waste the bit. Now it's gone. Now you bring him down. That's good work from the security team. He'll find his way to the Austin County Jail for a nice night. Hopefully they haven't served dinner yet, because he's probably going to be hungry.
I think he might be. So, you know, the big turnaround in the last 20 minutes, and if I'm Austin, I'm excited about playing this last 20 minutes of rugby, because our scrum, while it's not even, we've actually been able to win the ball. The only thing I would say is I'd want Sornatonga at the back to pick it up. Don't worry about Tori Alba coming and getting it. Just pick it up and go. He's a good runner, and get some players running off him.
Look at Nostradamus of rugby. Pete Steinberg, he picks that one. And they can't hold on to it, though. Theory, you were right, Pete. Great. Sonny Tonga off the back. Now under pressure, they come wide here, the Arrows. That one's come off a Gilgroni hand. They'll be coming back. And offside as well. Says referee Weiner. Had a pretty good game tonight, referee Weiner.
He has. We haven't seen, you know, we haven't had much to complain about. His positioning's been really good. It looks like they're going to kick for touch, so I think they're going for more points. So I think Sonny Tonga was a shooter. That's someone that comes off the line pretty quick, but he left the line pretty early. And I think one of the positive things for Austin is that they've actually grown into this game and they're playing better. And they have some big names coming in that they've signed. And I think it's these big players that are going to come in that are going to provide some great experience for them.
Take a look at some of those names that are coming in, and it is not only big names but big positional changes that are going to affect the way this team plays as well.
That's right. I mean, I think it's going to provide a lot of depth, and that's actually what a lot of these teams do. If they get players from the outside to bring in and provide depth.
Off that line out here for the Arrows. I think they've done scoring points tonight. They will keep looking for tries here. Replacement scrum half. Ferguson at the back in the 21. Penalty goes against the Arrows though. And then plenty of pats on the back there for Austin. You mentioned in the open to this game, Pete, it's essentially, you hate to use the word a rebuild, but it will be a rebuilding process here for Austin. How long it takes is up to the staff here, up to the coaching staff and the players, but there is a lot to look forward to in Austin.
Yeah, and I think that's right, and I think they're going to look to grow through the season with the signings that we've talked about. I mean, Adam Ashley Cooper is one of the greatest US players that has, greatest Australian players that has ever played. And then, of course, we've talked about Ronan Suniula, who will be is just getting healthy and will be able to come back onto the field. But they've got some All Blacks, they've got some Wallabies, they've got some Tongan internationals, and of course Kurt Morath, who played in the first year of Major League Rugby for Utah. It's great to see him back.
And what a difference he made for the Warriors. They made the finals that year in the inaugural year. Just an experienced, very, very calm number 10. Allows Puttick to slip back to fullback as well. Silver onto the wing. So he's strengthening the side in many ways with the introduction of those players. Puttick gets in with the ball now as they go middle of the field. Picking up one of the replacements in JP Novak. He gets his first touches of Gilgroni. Pedersen on the field as well in the 18 for Austin. Donga. Right in the middle of the field here. Quick hands from Pedersen. Clear off the boot. Well fielded though by the Arrows. It's a counter-attack. Oh, it just slips out of the hands. Not a good one there for Adams.
Well, I think what's interesting there, he's arguing with the referee because he said it didn't go forward. I think that's not the point. If you drop the ball like that, the referee's probably going to blow the whistle and give the other team the scrum.
Adjustment now joined by starting scrum half for the Arrows, Jamie McKenzie.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate it. And Jamie, it was obviously a dominating first half, and then you came back and continued with that same energy in the second half. What would you say about this Toronto Arrows teams to start off so strong?
It's been a long preseason for us, so we had the opportunity to work on a lot of things, especially in their set piece. You could see how dominant our scrum was. That's something we're trying to continue all year. We knew we'd have to start the season off strong. It's tough starting on the road. It's even tougher for us starting on the road for the first half of the season. So we really needed to make sure we set the tone early.
You had that opening second half try, and it was a little bit of a crazy one down there by the try line. What were you seeing on that play?
Yeah, I was bobbling around there a bit at the back again. Our scrum was on the front foot. I was lucky enough to just pick up a ball and saw some space. I owe most of it to the front row today and the big boys up there.
You guys are very good at giving credit to each other. Now, you guys actually have your full squad because the America's Rugby Cup was moved this year, so it won't interfere with your season. What's it like to have everybody knowing you'll have them for all 16 games?
I think it's just great for us to all be on the same page right from the start. It was kind of difficult for some guys coming in, picking up on what the team had already laid down. So it's a big advantage for us having the whole team right from the get-go. And we're really just trying to build some momentum into the season here.
And Mick Byrne comes from the All Blacks. He obviously has a wealth of international experience in the World Cup. What has he brought? I know he hasn't been here that long, but what have you noticed so far?
Well, that's actually with the Austin team. All I can really say is that we were kind of preparing for the herd and then the elite and then the herd and now the Gilgronis. So it was a bit tricky for us.
Thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah, Mick Byrne, I was thinking, geez, he's coaching two teams. He's got the Arrows and the Gilgronis. I think McKenzie called them the Jabronis as well there, so this will be a fun year.
I think it is. I mean, I think this team, I think the new ownership has brought a lot of excitement, a lot of energy. It's tough to be able to move venues in 10 days. The people that bought their season tickets were in Round Rock. That's not actually near where we are now. I know some of them have asked for their refunds because the trip's a little bit too much, but they're going to want to grow the crowd, and this is such an amazing facility. It's one of the best facilities that I've been to in Major League Rugby, so we're excited to see more and more people come here and watch rugby.
There is Mick Byrne, Director of Rugby here in Austin. Mick the Kick, as he was affectionately known, comes from an Aussie rules background, and that's where he got his start in rugby, working on the kicking game. And you've seen a total revolution of the way the kicking game is looked at in rugby. So he's been with who's who of world rugby, Mick Byrne. Good to have his experience over, and his ability to look inside the cultures of some of the most successful teams in the world and bring that culture to Austin.
Well, it's culture and systems and processes. So, talking with Mick before the game, he talked about they've implemented some of their skill development processes. They're looking to get their performance analytics up and running. There's a lot of work to be done, and he's excited to be here, and I think it's great. And you could see when Austin had the ball and they were able to hold on to it, they don't really have the structure in place to be able to go. But look at that scrum by Austin. Look at that.
Better stuff from the Gilgronis. Now the Arrows will look to work this out from their 22. 12 minutes left to play here. Shepherd, he's driven back. And this is what you want to see from Austin too. You don't want to see them throw the towel in. They went 0-16 last year. That was tough. Come out here and looks like they're going to take defeat in their opening game at home. They're going to at least look back at the effort they put in and build from that.
Well, I think they've got better throughout the game, and that's what you're looking for. And
Rasmus.
Guys, a lot of the question around this new ownership group is what exactly is a Gilgroni? There's a little bit of mystery surrounding that name. Some fans love it, some maybe need a little bit of warming up, but one thing that everyone can get on board with is what this new ownership team is doing for the Austin rugby community, which is essentially giving rugby away for free to the kids in Austin. Actually, everyone for Rugby Texas, under 14 team, under 16 team, and under 18 team has their fees paid for. In addition, if they make the national championship, they pay their way to go there too. So rewarding the youth and really investing not only in this team, but in the future of the sport, specifically here in Texas, but also in Major League Rugby.
Yeah, it's a great initiative, Jessamine. I'm really glad that you brought that up, because what they are doing, investing in the future, basically. The youth, that's what you need to get them to fall in love and inspired with rugby.
yeah, and who could not be inspired with just the last couple of minutes of play that we had? It went length to length, the ball was thrown all over the place. It was exciting, but I think the future, you know, all of the best teams are recognizing that the long play, Dan, is to get 10 years from now is to have these stands filled, and the way that you do that is by investing in the young players. You put on a Gilgroni shirt and they'll come back and they'll be Gilgroni fans for the rest of their lives, and I think the best Major League Rugby teams are making that investment.
Can't wait to see some of these young Gilgroniacs getting out here to the Austin Gilgronis games in 2020.
You're determined for that to be the collective now, aren't you?
Free kick goes, and away they go, Austin. You'd love to see them get some more points here. That's not going to get it done, though. Tough conditions, tough pass.
Well, I think it's all about that skill development, and you know that's Lino Saunatonga, who, you know, this is sort of one of the great things. He's 32, was in the Fijian squad, has a degree in marine biology, and was living in Hawaii with his family. And it was a connection with Andrew Suniolo and his coach in Hawaii, who said, hey, we've got a guy here that I think would be a good Major League Rugby player. And then here he is at the age of 32, getting his first taste of professional rugby.
There's hope for us yet, Pete.
32, Dan.
Oh,
32.
Sorry, I misheard you. There's no hope for us. Ferguson, he'll have to put in. Capitalise here. Another turnover though. Penalty. That's scrum time. As Ferguson goes quickly, gets called back. Wasn't on the mark there for Ferguson. He's a real live wire, Andrew Ferguson. Enjoyed watching him play for the Arrows.
Well, I think the two halfbacks that they have here for the Arrows are good, but you look at this scrum, I think this is a little rough. Looks like there's a little shove going on there by Austin, and I think the referee, it's always hard in the scrum time to work out who's making that wheel happen, but I think Austin have had the edge in the last 20 minutes of this game in the scrum, and I think that the referee may have penalized them because of what have happened in the first half, but not what's happened in the last 10.
More changes coming as Rees steps onto the field. Talked a little bit about Alex Rees before, out of Arkansas State. And there's Stephen Ing.
Opportunity here. Now we've got some of the younger players, so we have to recognize that for all of these guys, what they're really looking to do now is to look for playing time later on in the season. The competition will be fierce, so as players come onto the field, you'll see them really trying to make a big impact.
The contact comes in there. There's Rowland. Tyler Rowland gets his first start of the year. Puttick drives this downfield. Well fielded by Toronto, though, in their own half. Mirez swings it wide. Lives, his countryman. Brought down on the 40-meter line here. Off Austin, now Rumble. Looks to move this ball towards center field. Ferguson, Shepherd inside. Shoulder drop there. Into the 40 they go, the Toronto Arrows. Now Ferguson to his right. Inside, outside. Mirez is the option they like on the inside. We'll come back.
What the fuck is that?
Now, again, the frustration starting to boil over here, and this is what you don't want to see, especially from Austin. Down on the scoreboard, they don't want to lose another player here.
I think that was a high tackle, and that's why the referee called the penalty. And I think a couple of the Toronto players may have not liked it very much, and just a little bit of pushing and shoving. It's a physical, intense game, Dan. Sometimes those emotions can boil over.
Surprise scrum half in the middle of it.
Not me, Dan. When I was a scrum half, I always made my number 8 fight for me.
And that's why you're here? Still.
That's why I'm here. My face is the way it is.
There you go. There is Gaston Mirez, both captains.
You just don't want to go out there because that never ends good. Never ends good.
Interesting things here overall. Pretty well there. There'll be a penalty for Toronto.
Yeah, 5 minutes to go. You don't want to make any, stupid calls. Just a little word to say, hey, 5 minutes to go, guys. Let's just keep the rugby nice and clean so we can all finish with 15. Beautiful kick.
Great touch there into the corner.
One of the things I think Austin can be really proud of is that they've had a very physical defense. They've launched really hard. It's just been some of the penalties on defense that has really, really hurt them. But now they have another opportunity to defend their line. They've done it well. Let's see if some of the young guys that they've brought in can continue that intensity.
In goes up, not straight. Now decision time here for Austin.
Their scrum's been good enough. I think they can choose a scrum.
Oh, Echeverria still on the field. 74 minutes for the prop. That's a great shift.
It is a great shift, and it probably means that they feel like behind him they don't have the guys that can do much help. We said that they've got some young American players who may not quite be ready, and they're there, but we're going to try and get as much as we can. But what's happened is Echeverria has moved over to the loose head side. So he started on the right, and now he's moved to the left. It's always good to have players that can play both sides.
Penalty goes to the Gilgronis, and now Sonny Tonga, he goes for a run. Counter ruck comes in from run ball is good. Play on. Shepherd with the ball. Ferguson, he wants quick ball. Ferguson dances. Great pass, great line there. Picked up. Looks like Malazzo. A loose forward. They keep it close. Another turnover penalty going against the Arrows.
Everyone else is saying to Sonny Tonga, do not run this one 5 meters from your line. Okay, let's kick it to touch. Let's ease the pressure. Let's get our lineouts.
And that's what Pudik will do.
Oh, he's missed it again. Just trying to get a little bit too much.
Now Dan Moore looking for his second try. Takes it up to the 22. Excited to see Pudik get back to that 15 position when Kurt Morath shows up for Austin. Right again. Low chopping tackle comes in on Ing. Ferguson just got caught holding on a touch too long there. Ferguson was made to pay as the turnover comes for Austin. And Stevens goes to his left, picks up Liavasa. And no advantage will come back for the Ferguson knock on. It'll be a scrum for Austin.
Again, Austin's defense has been strong, and they're making some really smart decisions. So Sonny Toga right there launched and created pressure when they came back. They had more outside players launch. That left the scrum half not sure what to do. And so they've actually played some really, really good stuff on defense, but they haven't been able to do it consistently because they've been on defense so much.
One of the best rugby photographers in the world, Norma Salinas there on the sideline, getting some great shots.
Into the match for Austin, number 23,
Good night to shoot rugby too. The brain, it's just the theatre, the drama, perfect.
This is one of these games where, maybe you can get the little steam coming. It may not be quite cold enough.
There's
but you
Norma.
can get the steam coming off the scrum, but you're absolutely right. I'm sure there's going to be some great shots that she has.
Yeah, one of my favourites there. Get some great photos. I'm sure all the players in MLR appreciate the work she puts in. Stevens will appreciate if this put-in can stay on the Austin side. It may not, though, as the Arrows, again, dominant. They have the advantage. It may not need it. They may not need it at all. Milazzo, the dive, the slide, the try. Beautiful stuff for the Arrows, and they get their 5th try of the night.
Well, you know, we talked about how Austin's scrum had done much better over the last 20 minutes, but again, it's back to the dominance. A little bit of a lack of focus maybe there by Austin. And Pete Milazzo, who's a real solid player, one of those guys that wants to show that he should start on this team, steps up and scores it. And it's probably, you know, a fair reflection of the game. I think Austin have just been a little bit too short. This season has started a little bit too early with all the changes for them. But they're going to walk away here saying, you know, we did some good things. There are some things here that Mick Byrne and his staff, Brent Simmons, can build on.
Oh, absolutely. And we've already touched on the players coming in, but even that taken aside, a lot of talent here, a lot to build on, a lot to be excited about. We spoke to Mick before the game, and he said 10 days he's been here now, so very, very early on. Conversion from Adams is successful. 38 points to 10 here. Toronto, they've run away with this one. Great initial win on the road for them here in Austin. Great way to start their season. Yeah, I do have them finishing on top in the East. It's early in the year, but just like what I see out of Toronto.
So remember, they had such a poor start last year with all of their away games, with players coming in and out and not a real preseason. A strong start here means that with their home games coming up at the end of the year, they're certainly going to be a favorite to get that bye in the first round in the Eastern Conference.
You see Peter Milazzo feeling pretty confident after he scored that long-range try. Liavasa just reminding him that still 15 on 15.
Looks like the assistant referee had his flag out, and when he has his flag out, what that means is that he's seen foul play. So he's seen something that's dangerous, and so that's Scott Green talking to Lex Weiner and letting him know what he saw, and then they'll just, it's always the referee's decision, but they have a great discussion, and they say, what did you see, what do you think it is, what number was it, and he'll see if there's anything to do. But at the end of the game, I think he might just, if it's not a red, okay, which will have an impact again on future games, I think he might just let it go with a penalty, and then everyone gets out of it.
Definitely wasn't Big Jacobson there. He wasn't involved. Keep an eye on Milazzo and Liavasa there. There's the initial one. It'll push away and we'll push back, and I'll push you back. Eventually someone's going to stop pushing someone, and we're going to play some rugby.
And it looks like a yellow card for Liavasa. That was what they decided. I think that push to the face was enough. But I don't think Toronto are going to do too much. They've got their bonus points, and now it's about just being healthy. Oh, great play to keep it in.
This game is not, yep, the flag goes up. So close.
Quite.
Ilan Parekh, his third year in the Austin setup. Talked to him before the game. He's looking forward to happier days in Austin. Excited about the future here. Excited to be back in Austin for year 3.
And he's just an interesting story. So from South Africa, came over here when he was 16, picked up football when he got here in high school, and then went on to play college football before turning back to rugby for the second part of his college career.
Ferguson, he's had enough tonight. Drives that one over the sideline, and that will bring the full-time whistle. 38 points to 10. The Toronto Arrows, they run out convincing winners in their opening game against the Austin Gilgronis. We'll go back to the drawing board after this one. Pete, coming into this, we expected Toronto to be heavy favourites. They've lived up to the reputation and run away with a bonus point win.
I think that's right, Dan, and I think Austin have a lot to learn, but Toronto certainly showed that they're the class of Major League Rugby.
When we return from the break, we'll have all the highlights from the game, plus our man of the match.
Welcome back to Austin, Texas, where the road team, Toronto Arrows, with a dominating 38-10 win. I'm standing by with our man of the match, Dan Moore, who just dominated. You've got such an aggressive way of running, but it sounded like it was a team effort out there today.
Oh, it was definitely a team effort. You know, I really think the forwards up front gave us the platform, you know, to use the ball out wide. I think we'll be, you know, a little bit disappointed with our play on the outside. We can execute better. There were some skill errors, but, you know, in terms of first match of the season, we'll take a road win with a bonus point as well. So.
You guys have to play multiple games on the road for the first half of this season as well. Coming off of last season, having done the same thing, what mentality did you have as you knew that this was going to be an arduous 8 games?
I know everybody says it's kind of a disadvantage. I actually look at it as an advantage, and I think our team does as well. You know, we get closer in the hotel rooms on the road. There's lots of bonding early season, which I think, you know, evidenced last year by our homestand, carried a lot of momentum. We were able to string 7 wins together, head into the playoffs red hot. So we're hoping to kind of capture the same bonding early season this year and take that into our homestand.
All right, man of the match, Dan Moore, thank you so much and congratulations.
Yeah, and if I can, I'd just really like to say thanks to all the fans back in Canada. We've had tremendous support into this first game, and you know, keep getting behind us. Our boys are pouring their hearts into this thing, and you know, we're gonna do something special this year.
Well said, congratulations.
Thank you.
All right, guys, and I hear we have another man of the match, Dan.
Yeah, players of the match tonight, and it is Jamie McKenzie. What a performance from the 9. A lot of the work that came for the Arrows came off the back of this man at the back of the scrum.
Well, I mean, I think that he had a great game, but I think Dan Moore's right in the sense that, you know, as a former scrum half, good packs make good scrum halves. Jamie McKenzie, I thought, marshaled the team really, really well. He controlled it. You can see right here, having the conversations that he needs to have, and then looking for the opportunity and able to get over the line. But it wasn't just scoring, it was moving the ball. He was behind some of the best moments that Toronto had.
There we see owner Bill Webb. He gets to go back to Toronto with 1 win under the belt. They are 1-0. No better way to start the year. Well, folks, from Bold Stadium, the Arrows have defeated the Gilgronis by a score of 38-10. For Pete Steinberg, Jessamine McIntyre, our statistician Grant Cole, and our entire crew, I'm Dan Power saying good night from Austin, Texas.